So starting in a seated position, grounding yourself down, taking a few deep breaths as you bring yourself into this practice. Start to walk the hands out forward, finding a forward fold, hinging at the hips, taking the fingertips as close towards the wall in front of you. And then begin walking the fingertips back, making our way into a tabletop position. So feel free to put a blanket underneath the knees for extra cushioning and support. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We'll just start to move into some natural hip movement, whether it's hip circles or shaking the hips from side to side, whatever feels good in this moment. We'll start to move through a cat-cow pose. So in the inhale, let the tailbone lift. The chin, the spine follows. Exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin, drawing the navel in. Extend one leg back behind you, looking for a calf stretch. So maybe you rock back and forth on that foot. Maybe you press that heel in towards the wall behind you, and then changing to the other side. Moving in towards a down dog pose, tuck the toes, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, and just begin to pedal it out, one knee at a time. And start to walk the feet up towards the hands, coming into a standing forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. And then reverse swan dive. Arms reaching up towards the sky, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Lifting halfway on the inhale. Exhale, release. Step back with one foot. Lower the knee down to the floor, taking a supported lunge here. And then the arms can stay on the knees, or they can reach up overhead into a crescent lunge. Hands come back down to the floor and step back into a down dog. Other option is to stay in tabletop position and go through a cat-cow. If you're in down dog, we'll let the other foot float up, step forward, lower the knee down to the floor, and find your version of lunge. Hands up, hands on the knees, hands on the block, hands on the hips. All things are acceptable. Step back into your down dog. Tailbone lifting high towards the ceiling. And this time, let's walk the hands back towards the feet, coming into a standing forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release back down to the floor. Ground the feet in, reach up towards the sky, palms together, hands to heart center, taking a nice walk to the front of the mat. And let's repeat this, adding a little bit in. Inhale, little back bend, forward fold, halfway lift, and release. And this time we're gonna step one foot back, finding a standing lunge. Let the heel be lifted. Hands can come to the hips, they can reach up towards the sky. Then step back into your down dog. Other foot floats up, steps forward, finds your standing lunge. So hands can stay on the blocks, or maybe they reach up towards the sky. Bringing it back down into your down dog position. You can either stay here in stillness or move. Another option is to shift forward to plank or come to hands and knees for cat-cow, returning back to your down dog. So yogi's choice, stepping forward to forward fold or walking the hands back. Halfway lift, exhale, fold, and then reach the hands up towards the sky, palms together, hands to heart center. Repeating this again, forward fold, lifting halfway. And then step back for your standing lunge. And then this time bring the front leg towards straight, hinge at the hips, coming forward into a pyramid pose. Hands can rest on blocks, they can rest on the floor. Returning then to lunge. Hands come back to the floor, step back to down dog. Other foot floats up towards the sky. Step through. Don't be afraid to pick up the foot and move it to get it in position. Return to your standing lunge. Front leg comes towards straight. Hinge at the hips. Reach forward. Pyramid pose. Return to standing lunge. And then forward fold. Return to down dog. Shifting forward into plank or tabletop position for cat-cow. And this time we're going to lower all the way down to the belly. Chaturanga, or just lowering down gently. Lift up to Cobra. Exhale, release. Coming back through tabletop. Shift the hips back. Find your child's pose. Back into tabletop position. And just move through it. Just a few breaths of cat-cow. And then we're going to come back into a seated position. Bring the sole of one foot to the inside of the thigh. Other leg long and extended. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge forward. Maybe the hands rest on the knees, the shins, the ankles. Maybe you're touching toes. Inhale, come back up to seated. Bring the sole of the foot in together. Find your Baddha Konasana. Knees pressing out towards the side. Nice long spine as we hinge forward, trying to keep the back as straight as possible. And return back to seated. Let's switch legs. One foot stays inside as the other leg comes long and straight. Forward fold. Return back to seated. Come back into your cobbler's pose once again. Grounding the sits bones down and walking forward, hinging at the hips. And returning back to your seated position. Let's take the feet wide, flex the feet long. Just start to make some torso circles here. It can be big circles, little circles, whatever feels best. And then make sure that you go in the opposite direction, keeping it nice and even. Walk the hands forward, finding a forward fold once again. Just taking it to a place where you're comfortable, and then bring it back up to seated. Let's swing the legs around, and we're going to take it long on the mat. So let's take the block, we're going to stick it between the shoulder blades, not too far down in the back, but just enough where the head can hang down freely. You might even want to put a pillow underneath or a blanket underneath for a little extra support. And then let the arms come out to the side, legs long and straight. And then just enjoy this open heart position. Nice supported back bend. Go ahead and turn over to the side, grab the block. I'm going to walk the heels of the feet in towards the torso. Lift the hips and slide the block underneath the lumbar spine for a supported bridge. You might want to hang out in a full bridge first for a little bit. And then when you're ready, adjust the setting of the block to whatever height works best for you. And enjoy this supported bridge. If you want a little extra movement, alternate lifting one leg at a time. This is always nice either if you're in supported bridge or in a traditional bridge pose. Take a few hip circles, one on each side, or any other movement that feels good in this moment. And then you can lift the hips, slide the block out from underneath, and find your final resting pose. And staying here as long as you like. Thank you for spending this few moments together.